Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is an NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Cole Eastvold. Cole, once again, man, here we are. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back. Was this number three?
No, I think it's number 3 on this one, and I think it might be number 4 because I had you on my other podcast. So 3, 4, something like that, man. But it's always good to catch up with you. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Let's just, I want to kind of get us into North Americans. We talked right after USAs. So between USAs and North Americans, did anything change? Were there any hiccups? Was it pretty smooth sailing? Why don't you just touch on that in between time?
So when I got off stage at USA's, we just knew that I had to fill up. So to be honest, it was, I don't want to say easy, but we were eating more food. We were doing less cardio. So my training was able to be more intense. So, I mean, everything was good. There was no hiccups. Everything was pretty much smooth sailing all the way into North Americans. That's honestly, that's why I feel really good right now, because I ate all the way into that show, and then we maybe depleted for like 2 days prior, and then carved back up, the last couple days into the show. So went really smooth. I felt really good on stage. I feel healthy.
Good. Okay. Now, why don't we, it seems like it was a little bit different. North Americans, I think you guys were on stage at some point on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's with Masters there. It's such a massive event that they just do one like division each day. So all of Masters and open bodybuilding was on Thursday.
Okay. Because usually, I mean, most competitions, even pro qualifiers, you're on stage like Friday or Saturday. So did that really change anything up, or did it feel kind of weird, or just kind of normal stuff?
Not really, because I still flew out Monday. So I had Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday out there, just like at USA's, but obviously it was just a little bit further in the week. But still got out there a few days early, acclimated. I like to do my whole carb up out there rather than trying to get on a plane and manipulating water and altitude and carbs. So I just make sure I get out there so I can do the whole carb up. But yeah, I didn't feel weird being on a Thursday. The only weird part was, is since there's so many masters, it was really hard to determine when we were going to be on stage, because usually at shows we're on stage at like 9 a.m. I don't think I got on stage so close to 1 p.m. on Thursday.
Okay. Okay. So since we're there, so 1 p.m. was pre-judging, and then you guys came back and you guys were completely done with everything at some point Thursday night, wasn't it? How many hours between pre-judging and finals? How did that look?
So, I mean, I was on stage around 1 for pre-judging, and then I didn't get back on stage till almost, it was probably close to 10 p.m. Maybe a little sooner than that, but yeah. So it wasn't that long in between, but it also is like, what do you do between that time frame? So I just went back to my room, ate a couple meals, and just essentially waited. But it was kind of a bad weekend just to be in Pittsburgh, because they had a massive college football game going on. There was like some concert going on. So Thursday night traffic sucked. So I was more worried about whether I could even get back to the venue. So I made sure I went back plenty early. And as soon as I got backstage with my feet up, the stress went down.
Okay. Before we kind of talk about pre-judging and stuff like that, I want to go back to kind of the carb up. Before we hit record, you said you had to eat tons of food. So just walk us a little bit through kind of like what food you're eating, the kind of the numbers, how much how much were you eating for that carb up?
A lot. Not as much as USA's, because I was flat for USA's. So I ate quite a substantial amount more, but it takes a lot to fill me up. So now that we had done the carb up for USA's, I kind of knew what we were getting into. So I literally went to the grocery store and bought every bag of rice they had at Whole Foods, and got like 10 pounds of beef. and got like 2 sticks of the all natural grass fed butter and some peanut butter and honey. And that was the foods we used. But it was, the protein going into the show was around 150 grams. And then as we got closer, we pulled that back to 100 grams. And then with Matt, the meals before we go on stage, say like 2 hours before, it's always, there's no protein. It's just carbs, fats, salt. So usually like the magical little concoction we do is rice, peanut butter, banana, and salt. And it's just a big bowl of that. And then I might have like some honey and peanut butter or something right before we go on stage. But yeah, otherwise, as far as the carbs, the actual carb up, we started off moderate because we were a lot fuller already going into the show. So we were doing like 320 grams of rice per meal. That would have been Tuesday. I'm not very good with dates, so I'm trying to remember. Tuesday, all day, that's what we did. And then a little bit more at night, like 420 for like the last meal. And then it built up to about 500 grams of rice. And with the fat sources, we were doing the all natural grass fed butter. We were doing like upwards of 25 grams towards the end in the rice with the beef. So, I mean, that's a pretty substantial amount of food in one sitting. I did record a lot of this on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of see some of the meals because people were asking from USA's. So I did put up a few videos on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I also gotta recount it, but I mean, it was like over 5,000 grams of rice from Tuesday till like Thursday.
Now, and your YouTube is just Cole Eastvold, your name, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So anybody listening, watching this, Cole does have a YouTube, and he's been putting up some great content. So just type in Cole Eastvold, his first and last name into YouTube. It'll pop up, and like he just said, he covered some of this stuff that we're talking about on his own YouTube. So go over there, make sure you watch that. Make sure you subscribe to Cole's YouTube, because like I said, he's been putting out some awesome content. I'm assuming as he goes into nationals in December, he will continue to do that. So make sure you guys subscribe.
I'll do a road to nationals.
What's that?
So yeah, I'll probably do like a road to nationals and try to cover it. I mean, I film it all myself and I edit it all myself. So take it easy on me. It's not the best of quality, but it is content, and it's more like just raw. Like, this is what we do. You might see me do the same movements in the gym every single day, but there's no fluff in there.
For sure. Nope. It's you're dude. I love it, man. You do what you need to do. You put in the work, and it's great. Those who get it will get it, right? Okay. Right. So going back to the carb up and just kind of loading up on all that food. I mean, does that ever like digestively, do you ever have any issues with that or any struggles, or is it because you guys kind of just keep the same foods in, you're just eating more, it just kind of normal stuff per usual?
Yeah, but then we're keeping an eye on that as well. So I mean, as weird as it sounds, like I go to Matt and I'm like, okay, I took a healthy shit. Like we're discussing all that because it is important. I'm usually taking digestive enzymes, and then I'm usually taking like a GDA, not like a heavy amount, but like one pill with each meal just to kind of help stuff move along. And then Matt's really big on the Calm, which is like magnesium, powdered magnesium. And I'll do that 2 to 3 times a day, depending. Like, he'll literally just write it right in with the meal, like 3 grams of Calm with meal 1. And then, we pose. There's never a like, here's the plan. It's laid out. Just do this. It's literally eat a meal, take a nap, pose, and then he'll look at me in person or send pictures depending on what's going on or where he's at. And then he'll literally then write out the next meal and send it over to me on WhatsApp. And then it's all, and that's what we do literally from Monday till we're on stage.
Okay, so let's get into prejudging. Why don't you talk about obviously you got second place, so you're in
Yes.
first call outs. Your mindset from our last conversation after USA's, I'm going in to win, get the pro card. After prejudging, give us your thoughts, give us your analysis.
So first, once they called me for first call outs, I mean, granted, most people be like, "Oh, I'm guaranteed first call outs." I mean, nothing's guaranteed, and you don't know how you look till you're up there. So when I got in the first call outs, I did a little cheer for myself, like fucking nailed it in there in the mix. And then I stayed in the middle. I didn't get moved once. Granted, it was a 6-person call out, so there was no middle, but me and uh, where I was at in the middle of the two, I didn't get moved once, and then they were moving everyone else there around me. So I'm gonna be honest, when I got off stage, I kind of was pretty confident. I mean, I didn't say it, but a lot of people said it, that they thought I took the class. So, but my response was, until they put that thing in my hand, because I've gotten a lot of, disappointments. I've lost way more than I've won. I'm like, I'm not going to believe it till that card's in my hand and they announce it. Granted, so we all know how it turned out at night. So, luckily I didn't start changing my Instagram tag or any stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that'd be a little embarrassing, wouldn't it?
Right. No, that's why it's not done until it's done, man. So you
Right,
just
right.
never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so you're feeling pretty good after prejudging. Why don't you talk about the night show now? I know going back to USA's, some people were thinking, they're going to come back at the night show, like rejudge or whatever. I don't think that happened, at least with the super heavies. How does it work at North Americans? I mean, is it basically over after prejudging, or do they rejudge at the night show? Walk us through that. Talk us through that, Cole.
There was no rejudge. There was no nothing. They were pretty confident in their 1 and 2. Um, I mean, they put up scorecards, but there was no actual scores on them. It was just like people's placing. So I don't know if I'm just looking at something wrong. So if someone listens to this and actually found the scorecards, you can shoot that over to me. I was just more curious if it was a clear cut, like Felix was one. And I mean, I feel like me and him were 1 and 2 no matter what. And then like 3, 4, and 5 was a little bit further behind us. Um, but yeah, I guess I don't know how close it was between me and Felix, but I mean, based off of everyone's reactions, they thought it was really close.
Okay. Okay, so let's I asked you before we hit record kind of just what you thought about Felix, his physique in person, because obviously I see pictures, you get to be right next to him. I'm not going to ask you really to talk about that here, but I do want to ask you, like, when you look at your physique and Felix's physique, where do you think maybe you have some strengths over him? Maybe he has some strengths over you, like just kind of going back and forth in your mind.
I mean, he's got a pretty front double. He's got a tight waist, and he's got really good legs. Granted, I got really good legs, but my front and rear double have always been my worst poses. But if I were to break it down like unsubjectively, say I did lose the front and rear double, I feel like I won every other pose. But that's where the judges have their opinions. And it's mostly it's nothing, not knocking Felix. Felix is originally from Minnesota, so I mean, he's a really nice kid. It's just he needs to put on some thickness in the upper body, which is where that's where I thought I had it, is because my upper body is a lot thicker. But I mean, he's young. So, and he's already turned pro, so he has a really good career ahead of him.
Yeah, for sure. And his coach, Austin Stout, who I've had on the podcast and have had some conversations, off the podcast with him. I mean, he's definitely, when it comes like to the health side of things and, kind of just keep it on the straight and narrow. Super great coach, super cool guy. So hopefully those guys can continue to work together and and do
Yeah.
some magic in the pro league.
Yeah. And his conditioning was on point. So whatever they did to bring him in, just add more size and duplicate that. It's going to be
Yep.
good.
Did it feel kind of good? Brandon got you at USA's. You got him here. Did that feel kind of good?
I mean, yes and no, because I mean, I got better. Brandon got worse. I mean, I talked to him at the show. He just kind of said his body just wasn't really responding and it kind of like wore out a little bit. So, I mean, it feels good to get second, but it never feels good to beat someone not at their best. So, um, yeah, I guess that's where that's at. Like, I know, like, I would say Brandon had the most, like, far as genetic wise, probably has the most potential there out of anyone up there, just because, I mean, he's a big boy. So if he can get his body, I think he just needs to take some time off, reset, and I mean, next show he does is he could easily win it. So
Cool. Okay. I'm going to read a post I think you put up on Instagram yesterday. I told you I was going to at some point read this, and then I just kind of want you to just maybe expound a little bit more, because I feel like this is very pertinent, and it's a great post for bodybuilding and bodybuilders to hear. So I'm just going to read this quick, and then you just kind of share whatever you want to share, Cole. It says,
okay.
I did my very first bodybuilding show back in 2010, where I placed fourth, fifth, but I was hooked either way. Took me from 2010 to 2015 to win my first state overall title. Then took me from 2015 to 2021 to win junior nationals. In that time frame, I got 3 or 4, did not place, 15th to 16th place at USA's and nationals. Now in 2022, I took third at USA's and second at North Americans. I'm laying this time frame out for people to show you not everyone is an overnight success in bodybuilding. I honestly never thought I'd even make it this far with my genetic capabilities. I was blessed with the mental tenacity to not give up, though. And that's why in 13 weeks, I know I can continue to make the changes needed in order to take this to the next level. It all comes back to if you truly love what you do. This is not work, it is a blessing. Why don't you just, I don't know, share your thoughts a little bit more on that?
Yeah, I guess a lot of people just see where I'm at right now, like and that might just be because people weren't following along, they didn't know who I was before, but I was more of just letting people know that, like, hey, I lost, and a lot of people, like, oh, sorry, you took second, you took third. I'm like, yeah, it sucks because I did think I was going to win this show. I had a good feeling about it, but I've came so far since my first show that I couldn't help but actually just still feel very, blessed to be able to do that. Because a lot of people would have gave up by now. You take 3 did not places at a national level show like USA's or North Americans or whatever you're doing. It's pretty discerning. Like, oh, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I should just quit. But for me, I was going to go back to the gym and train and do this anyways. So I always just kept going. And even though I wasn't placing better at national shows or anything at that point, I did see progress. And I feel like people need to be able to just, even though they got a shitty placing, but did you beat yourself prior at your best? And it sounds cliche. Everyone says that, you versus you, but really when it comes down to it, it is. Because if you progress and you got better, then you should keep going. Because if you really like doing this, and this is what you want to do, I wouldn't stop until like you took a massive step backwards. Like, say you got substantially worse and you weren't getting any better, you might have hit that's the limit. You're not going to get any better. But if you're still progressing in any form or way, I don't see why you would quit unless it just isn't for you. So that was just more to like let people know like where I've been, how long it took me, like realistic time frames. Like 5 years to win a state level show. Like most people are like, oh, I did my first show and I won. Like that's what you hear, but that's not the norm. The norm, at least from like what I see, is it's going to take you 3, 5, 6 years to build up a good base to win something like that. And anyone can get lucky and go to a state show and win an overall with no one there. So also be realistic with yourself, because even 2015 when I finally won the overall, I was like, oh, time to go to nationals. And then that's when I realized that, okay, there's levels. I'm still not ready. And then so I'm very glad that I decided to switch gears in 2021 and do juniors to prove it to myself, because if I would have went and done USA's and took a bad spot again, that might have been it. You know, obviously depending on how I looked, but yeah, it's just more to let people know, like, the realistic of this. If you love this sport, you love what you're doing, just keep going. You don't, like I said, placing's a place. If you're getting better, if you're making improvements, and don't put yourself in that position, like, have a good coach who can be subjective, because your first national showing, you're probably not going to do well. If you make first call outs, you should be extremely happy. And I see, like, a lot of people, since they don't win their first national show, they get distraught and they want to quit. And so, yeah, I guess that post is just more for me to let the new guys know that I've been through the ringer, and I'm still going through the ringer. I still haven't gotten there yet, but I'm not quitting. And that's why I got 13 weeks to get even better. And if you truly do love this, like I've said, that's 13 weeks you're gonna be in the gym doing something anyways. Why not get ready for another show?
Well said, man. Now, I do want to ask you, Cole. I mean, you know, there's, I understand like the love of bodybuilding, the love of training. And then, you know, when you step on a stage and you compete, like that's like a whole nother game. That's a whole nother level, right?
Yeah.
Now, going back to the beginning when you didn't place very well or whatever, you're still seeing some progress. I mean, was there somebody in your corner or somebody at that time in your life that at least maybe gave you some sort of encouragement, like, hey man, like you've got potential, just keep going? Or was that all from you internally?
I have a good support system, just even with my own mom and my wife Megan. They've been to every show. They believe I can do it. But they're also very realistic. Like, you know, I came out on stage at nationals. They're like, sorry, but you didn't look like the guys in the first call out. Like, you didn't look didn't look that good. So it's good to hear that. But then I think, you know, I had some friends and some other bodybuilding, you know, whatever, you know, they're like, oh no, you know, you still look good or whatever, but it has to come within. Like, you have to want, like, because it has to be you at the end of the day, because you're going to be the one going to get under the fucking squat rack. You're going to be the one going in the gym, dieting. They're not going to be there for you. So even if they can encourage you, you got to have the mental tenacity to be able to go back in the gym and really focus and put in the work. And it took me, what was that? I took off 2019 and 2020 completely. 2 year off season is very hard. I like doing this 13 weeks to the next show is going to be so much easier than taking 2 full years off, because trying to stay motivated for 2 full years to get in there and train and make progress, that's hard. Because I want to say in those 2 years, I probably had 2 times where I was like, just burnt the fuck out. Just like, I need to take a week off. Everything hurts. You know, you're only getting fatter. You don't feel like you're making progress at that point. So that's the hard part. So yeah, like I said, having a good supportive people in your corner to be there, you know, like to have someone to help you make meals every now and then, someone to help push you is great. But if you don't have it mentally, you're not, it doesn't matter. You're not going to make it.
I think I don't think, I know we've talked about Matt Jansen, your coach, before on
Yeah.
our conversations with the podcast, but like, I mean, do you feel like he's been a difference maker for you in terms of somebody in your corner, the confidence you have in him doing his job as the coach, you being the athlete? Like, again, just talk about the importance of having an elite, great coach in your corner.
Matt is very, I think we just click because, you know, we're both, you know, have families. We both, it's more X's and O's. I kind of feel like he tells me what to do, I execute. So when he does hand out a compliment, I know that it's like legit, like we're doing something. Because it's not like every time I check in, he goes, "Oh, you look so good," blah blah blah. He doesn't do that, at least not with me. Which I don't want that. Like I honestly, I ignore it anyways. I'm like, okay, great. What do you want me to do next? Like, that's fantastic, but like, all I care is about the end result. But where the confidence comes in, if Matt won't peak me like he does, and I didn't show up to show day like I look, yeah, I probably, that would be the deal breaker. And that's not like there's a one off and you're slightly like USA's, we were slightly off, but I was still dialed in. Like I was conditioned. I took third. Could I have been better? Yes. It's not his fault. My body metabolism and everything went for a wild run, but he's very attentive. So he was there for every step of the way. We were trying to make the adjustments, and I couldn't have done it any better. And so I just think, yeah, with Matt, I feel very confident in what we're doing when we set the game plans. And when it comes show day, I know he's going to be there to execute to the best of his ability. And that's really all you need from a coach. Not everything's always going to be a slam dunk, but also like I could tell that the two losses, they bothered him. I feel like this one almost bothered him more than it bothered me, even though second place is definitely harder to swallow than a third place. Um, so, but I got off stage. We said our kind of like, oh shit type stuff, and then I was like, what are we doing next? So we got the same mindset. He took the time out to check in on me on Friday and just kind of put a game plan together for what we need to do. Before that, right after the show, me and him went and found one of the judges to get some clear feedback and what they really want to see me do come into nationals. So like I said, he's there every step of the way. I couldn't ask for a better coach at that point.
What was the feedback from that judge?
He didn't put it in words of like, Felix had this, you had that. It was just more like, I want to see you have a better quad sweep, which I think he was probably talking about my upper quads, which, there's you kind of know, but it's good to hear what they're saying so I can really focus on that and make that a priority. So me and Matt restructured my leg day. Like the leg day today, I already started it. We restructured it. Matt believes doing like a 1 second pause in the hole on like leg press and squats, and then doing them last versus first will yield that. So I always like having a game plan. And then he said lower lats, and my lower lats have always been an issue. So same thing. Me and Matt's not like gonna like write me out a whole program. I don't need that. I've been doing this long enough, but he makes the suggestions like doing this and this is going to yield to getting that. So add this into your program. So and then I take it from there. I'm also doing a little bit higher volume training. I don't know. Like when I do progressive overload and I do the top set and back offs, like there'll still be some of that in there, but I get too caught up into that because I can get really strong, but I also always end up tweaking something eventually. So I'm pulling that back a little bit, and I'm going to be doing a few more sets and going to be driving a volume for failure versus load. I think especially with legs, that's going to yield better results. And legs and back, I haven't really been doing that as of late. So I'm making those tweaks based off of my own just instincts and how my body feels. And then Matt personally just wants to see better, deeper ab development. So we all skip abs. Let's not lie. So I'm just going to make sure I do abs every day from now till nationals. 3-4 sets of hanging leg raises, just stimulate the abs. And then I'm going to continue to work on vacuums because honestly, everyone can have a tighter waist. So those are the 3 things that we really need to adjust so that, for one, you can please the judges and show them that you took their feedback, to heart. And 3, it comes down to my front double, my rear double, or my worst poses. If I make those developments, that's probably what's going to make the difference in those two poses as well.
Perfect. What did your leg routine look like today? Because I know you just got done training legs.
So did adductors, 3 sets of 12, did leg curl seated, 3 sets of 12, and that's not counting the warm-ups. So I did 1 or 2 warm-ups, and then I did 3 sets at the same weight. So of 12, but by the third one, it was absolute failure. And then did the same thing for extensions, 3 sets of 12. And the last set, if I have more than 12 in me, I just go. And then today wasn't about, I kind of pulled the, coming off dehydrated, coming off a show. I was definitely not trying to push the weight too crazy. And then single leg press, drive it into the hole, 1 second, drive it out of the hole. Same thing. I did 2 sets of 12. And then hack squat, same thing, 2 sets of 12, drive into the hole, 1 count in the hole. Matt thinks loading in the stretch position is going to yield better quad sweep. So those 2 last movements, but then also doing them last, then I also don't have to load as much weight because my legs are fatigued at that point. So it kind of helps with the whole injury thing. Because I tore, I don't know, it wasn't like the adductor, but it was something on the inside of my left inner leg. I tore this off season. So that's where I thought switching to volume training, especially on legs, is probably a better idea. Because like I said, I can throw 10 plates on the hack squat and do 15 reps. Body just doesn't like it. I can only do that for so many weeks before something starts to kind of like tweak or feel bad.
Now with your legs, do you kind of always start with kind of like the adductors and leg curls and leg extensions just to kind of get the blood in there, or is that a part of the switch up that Matt just made for you?
That's the switch up. I would typically do leg curl first to get some blood in there, and then I go straight to a squat.
Okay.
But that's also why I can load the squat so heavy. So now we're doing it dead last. And like I said, Matt sent me that he wanted me to do it in this structure, but he's not dictating the volume, the reps, any of that stuff. He just gave me the highlights. I want it in this order, and I want a 1 second count in the hole on your leg press or 1 leg movement, whatever it is. We did leg press this time. And then whatever squat variation you want to do, we did hack squat this time.
Have you had a unilateral movement in with your legs for a long time, or is that again a part of the Matt switch up?
On and off. So the next 13 weeks, this will probably be the longest duration I've ever had a unilateral leg. I would throw it in for like, probably every 3rd workout or something like that before.
Okay. All right. So from that post that I read just a couple minutes ago, we know that you're going to go on to nationals. So what does the prep from North Americans to nationals look like? I'm assuming kind of just normal, but where's your mindset at with that, Cole?
My mindset feels good. Obviously I'm going to go get blood work done, get the body checked out. It's been a long prep. So just make sure, like I said, I feel good, but we just want to actually make sure on paper everything's also good. And then I did send check-ins to Matt this morning. It's a Sunday. He usually spends time with his family on Sunday, so I just more sent it over so he'd have it for tomorrow morning or tonight if he gets a chance to look at it. I have this thing I do after every show. I write out a nutrition protocol. I write out what I'm doing. I write out, like, he made the notes for the training, but then I wrote out my actual program for training. And then I send it all over to him, and then he can make any tweaks from there. And it's not like it's a lot different, but like, I'm not going to I guess I don't know what other people do, but I'm not going to just sit and wait 2 or 3 days to hear from my coach and just not really do anything in the meantime and just eat like crap. So, it's pretty much the same stuff we always eat. I just dictated how many carbs for myself at this point. Like, kept it fairly low, like 150 grams of rice per meal type thing. So that way I just have, I like to have structure. I like to have a plan set. Even though if he might change it as soon as he looks at it, that's fine. At least for, so what's today? Sunday? So is it Sunday today?
Yep.
Yeah, Sunday. So Saturday and Sunday I followed this program, and then tomorrow I'm sure he'll change some stuff up. But so otherwise I don't know really what it's gonna look like going to the show. I would imagine we'll just make sure I'm healthy, take it easy on the training, not like but like, just pull back, say like the 70% until the body's like rehydrated fully and feels good. And then I'd assume around the 6 mark, because I'm in shape, like, so I assume around the 6 week mark, we'll build up food all the way up to that point or so, and then diet back down or something like that. But it should be fairly flawless, Barty being in shape, because being 13 weeks out, most people are just starting prep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. Do you feel like, what do you feel like was, USA's more competitive than, North Americans, vice versa, about the same? What say you?
Stewart was probably like, he would have won both shows, obviously. So like, do you say USA's was more stacked then? But there's 15 guys at North Americans, and I don't think any one of them was like terrible by any means. So I would say they're both, like, for a super heavyweight show, I think USA's had around 10 and North Americans had 15. That's a lot of supers. Because I mean, you go to a state show and there's like one or two, if that. So I felt like they were both very competitive this year. Both were way more competitive than the prior couple years, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I think they were both like pretty stacked shows for what they were.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I had a lot of the guys in your class on before North Americans, and a lot of young guys, right? I mean, guys that are early
Yeah.
20s, mid 20s, late 20s. So I think bodybuilding is well and good going into the future. Don't you think, Cole?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of good guys in there. You're going to see a lot of these guys turning pro over the next few years. I mean, I'm 33, so I mean, I was probably one of the older guys in the show. But yeah, it's great for them. I'm excited. I see someone 25, winning pro cards, or, doing national shows and looking like that, is exciting, because they're only going to get better. And so I think bodybuilding's in a good spot right now.
For sure. And I think nationals may be the most stacked all year. I mean, last year's nationals was pretty legit for my opinion. So
Yeah, I guess I'm not good at keeping up with who's doing shows. I guess I think I mentioned on the last podcast, I don't really pay too much attention, unless it's someone who I already like talk with or interact with. But I'm not, at this point, I have no idea who's doing nationals.
oh, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to do Cole and show up and
Yeah,
show out,
that's
right?
right. Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen. I'm very confident though. So
Yeah.
whoever's doing it, show up at your best.
Yeah. Well, and however you look at it, I mean, we know at nationals top 2 get pro cards. So, that's, I guess, maybe a little bit more motivation or encouragement or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, I think of like, I think of Nate Spear, right? I mean, he was kind of in a similar boat as you. I mean, grinding a bunch of seconds, thirds, whatever. And then last year, he got second, got his pro card behind a very legit overall super heavy. And he went and did a pro show. I think he got in the top 9, top 8 or something like that. So
he looked really good.
Yeah, very good. But that's the thing. I think, Cole, as I look at, the NPC and stuff, it's like some of these guys that turn pro really quick. I mean, a lot of the times, it's because of the structure, right? They don't necessarily have the size, they have the structure, and there's a lot of potential. But somebody like you, somebody like Nate Spear, some of these other guys. Who's the guy? I had him on Jordan Janowitz, right?
Jordan, yeah.
I mean, dude, like, but my point that I'm trying to get is like some of you guys that have to grind in the NPC for 5-10 years, like, when you turn pro, you have a pro ready, pro level physique compared to the guy that shows up for the first time at a pro qualifier, wins, and then they have to sit out 2 or 3 years before they step on a pro stage. So I think there's some pluses to that, right?
Right. I mean, you can see it in the side shots, I think. Like you see Jordan turn to the side, he has that density. If he would have turned pro like 5 years ago, he would not have that density he has right now and placed as well as he did at that first. He did 212, right?
Yes.
And he does not look 212. Like he looks
Freaky.
absolute nutty. So
Yeah.
100%. You know, I know he's been grinding out for a while. He got second too at nationals though, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yep. I think just back in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want second, but that makes me feel a little bit better.
I know, and that's why I was hesitant to bring it up. But hey, you know what? I mean, it's just like that's why I kind of brought up Nate Spear. It's like, dude, he got beat by the overall national champion, who's going to be probably a pretty legit pro. And
Carlos.
you know what? It is what it is. I mean, I love this statement. I've heard this from probably more than one person, but people are like, it doesn't matter where you got your pro card or if you got first or second. Like, it matters what you do with it, right? Because there's plenty of guys that are overall national champions or whatever, and you never hear of them. They don't even compete in the pro level. So whatever, you know.
Once you turn pro, no one knows where you turn pro at. Right. It just matters how you do as a pro.
Yeah.
And like everyone says, you're only as good as your last showing. So
yep.
That's all anyone knows.
Yeah. So you know what, man? Get second place, get that pro card, and you know, let's rock and roll. Cole, I think that wraps it up, man. We hit North Americans hard going into nationals before. You know, I don't know, a couple weeks out, I'll bring you back on for nationals, man. I love having you on.
Yeah.
And you know, always enjoy catching up with you. Enjoy our conversations. Any shout outs, sponsors, all that stuff? Once you hit us with that, and then I'll do a quick outro and we'll wrap it up, man.
Yeah. I just shout outs chemicslifestyle.com. You know, Brian, the Gorilla Chemist there. I got to shout out to them. They've been awesome. They picked me up for USA's. I'm currently their only athlete. So it's kind of cool. We got a good thing going. So shout out to them. So if you guys are looking for some new products to check out, they are legit because they're made. Everyone's probably heard of Brian, the Gorilla Chemist. So it's his company, his products. And then Iron Rebel. They've been nothing but supportive for me too. They signed me on as an actual athlete, same thing not too long ago. So yeah, those are my two major sponsors. Otherwise, just shout out to everyone at the Den here at our gym. They are the support team I have. My training partner Braden, he was out at North Americans with me. He babysat me for the whole week. And he's going into his pro debut in like 20 days. Yeah. So I'll be flying out to San Antonio with him to return the favor. And then, and then shout out obviously to my wife. She puts up with me. If I didn't say that, she watched, she'd get mad at me. So
good deal. I was gonna ask you about Braden because I saw that he was supposed to do his pro debut kind of around the time you did USA's, and then whatever happened. And I was just going to ask you when he was going to do that. So he's competing in San Antonio, then you said?
Yeah, San Antonio. He got sick.
Okay.
And it lingered, and him and Matt just kind of decided that his body wasn't responding like it should have at that point. And you don't want to go into a pro debut like kind of handicapped. So they just pushed it out a little bit further. He's looking really good right now. Braden has an awesome structure for classic, and he's not at his weight cap, so he's only going to get better and better. But I think for his pro debut, I definitely watch out for him. Like, cause like I said, classic, I feel like classic's more about the structure. And for someone like him not to be at the top of his weight class yet, that means he's just going to continue to get much, much better because he's got that pretty physique, but then he has more room to add tissue onto that physique and still be able to compete in classic.
And he's a C-bum's height, right? I mean, he's a taller guy, kind of the structure of C-bum.
Yeah, I think he's 6 foot.
Yeah.
maybe a little taller. So yeah, he's a little bit taller, and like I said, everything just flows good. And he's put on like from his he got second at USA's to get his pro card, and he's made massive improvements since then. So I'll be excited to see what he looks like there up on stage. Just got his next 20 days just to dial it in, and yeah, he doesn't like the C-bum comparisons, FYI.
Well, hopefully he doesn't listen to this then. Don't
No, I'm
don't
just
hate me,
kidding.
Braden.
He gets it a lot though. I think mainly due to just the they kind of look like each other, like in the face and the beard, and
It could be worse, I guess, right?
I think it could be way worse. Like people are like mistaking you for the the champ. So, but like anyone that is in that position, they want to make a name for themselves and not be associated with someone else.
I 100%, man. All right, Cole. Once again, man, thanks for coming on, chopping it up with all of us. We'll be in touch. We'll get you on before nationals. Appreciate it. Okay.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Yep, you're welcome. All of you who are tuning in to another episode of Behind the Muscle Podcast, thank you so very much. Quickly, as we wrap up another awesome conversation with Cole Eastvold, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Please share this episode with Cole on your Instagram stories. Tag Cole, tag Behind the Muscle. That's a great way for people to find the podcast, listen, and just be positively impacted through people's stories that are being shared on the podcast. And finally, I will leave you all with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.